Less than a year and a half ago, we kind of came out with it, and the results are really phenomenal. People are responding, and they're having such an amazing results with it. So I'm telling you, we are really, really, really inspired and grateful. Kind of, and when you get those responses, you know that you're doing something amazing. I can tell you, and I know that you resonate with this 100%. When you're doing something and you're dedicating your time and your being to something which is larger than yourself, when you're serving something higher than yourself, then your entire being sings. And that's why I'm saying I'm so grateful to be part of the whole project and to witness everything that's happening.
Mario, my brother, welcome to the Superhuman Life.
Thank you so much for having me, Frank. Thank you so much. I'm happy to be here.
Really excited about this too. This is not a conversation that we've really dove deep into. We've touched on the importance of water in some of our microbiome episodes. Recently, when we had Dr. Jill Carnahan on, she talked about the importance of our water and the role it plays on our gut microbiome. But to kick things off here, Mario, what's the biggest, call it misbelief or the biggest thing that people are maybe unaware of when it comes to the importance of our water and hydration?
I can tell you that most people consider water as a simple element. It's just something, okay, it's abundant here on Earth, and that's basically it. But nothing could be further from the truth. I'm just going to share a couple of facts with you, which will immediately, well, it will blow people's minds. Well, those who aren't aware of those facts. Number one thing, which is really interesting, is that we are 70% water in mass, and that's like more than enough. 70% of us, but we are 99% water in molecules. So we're basically very clever H2O when you look at it. So the structure of that 99%, it not only plays a key role, it plays every role. If we do not treat water in the right way, anything else will not have its full potential. So it's basically critical.
Got it. Yeah. So 99% of our cells are
Molecules.
molecules. Incredible. I mean, I love how you said we're kind of like we're intelligent water here.
Exactly.
Now you said the structure is important to kind of be aware of, and I know that this term it's kind of been catching some buzz, and it's really sitting at the heart of everything that you're doing. What is structured water, and then how does it differ from, I guess, unstructured water?
So we tested basically almost any water on the planet, and we found out that basically all water, almost all water on the planet exists in what we call a chaotic state. So H2O molecules are actually crashing into each other constantly. They're moving chaotically. All of this happens on an atomic level, so nobody's really aware of it. This chaos has a profound influence on our overall health and wellness, even though we're completely unaware of it. What we found is a way to bring order back into that chaos. This is what we believe is the most natural state of water. And this is water as God intended, so to speak, because we will go into all of the studies. We tested it on plants, on humans, on animals, and results are remarkable. I can use very simple kind of story to explain what coherent or structured water is. For instance, you can take a light bulb of 5 watts and it will give you some light. But if you take 5-watt laser, which is a coherent form of light, it will drill a hole through a table. So when you bring water molecules in this very special liquid crystalline state, then the true power of water is being unleashed.
So it's kind of harnessing and focusing in on. I mean, I love the analogy with the laser, right? It's like it's the same beam of light, but now it's real harnessed and it's focaled in on a specific point. Is that kind of what you're
Exactly. Colloquially speaking, H2O molecules join hands. So without being a chaos inside, they actually connect to each other and start forming this very special structure. And then the magic of water truly happens. And when people drink this water, when you water plants with it, results are off the charts, which I'm going to actually go into very detail because we did many studies on it to definitively prove that something biologically remarkable happens when you expose biological systems to water, this water.
Yeah, definitely want to get to that. I'm curious because you said that the chaos in the everyday water has effects on the human genome, right? Like kind of it affects us, the biology of us. What are some of those negative effects from the chaos within your everyday water?
This is actually amazing. Our body is extraordinarily intelligent. God created our body in the most perfect, absolute way. So our bodies have natural mechanism of repairing themselves. So when you drink water, chaotic water, our system makes that water coherent, but it needs to spend energy doing it because water in our body is in a structured state. And actually, there is a very strong research that the water molecules, highly structured water molecules, surround our DNA. And when these bonds start to break, then we start getting ill. So the structure of the water inside our bodies need to remain intact. But when you drink structured water, when you drink coherent water, especially there are various structures, when you drink this very special water, your body does not have to convert it into a coherent water for our cells. It just goes directly. And then, as we will demonstrate in our studies, then entire mitochondrial energy of your body increases significantly.
Yeah, so it's one of the things that people are noticing and experiencing is an increase in energy because you're preserving it from having to structure the water yourself. So it's like now you have that energy stored up inside of you that you can apply it to work, your workouts, everyday life. Like is that a very positive sign that people are experiencing?
Exactly that. So athletic performance, everything. I mean, we did, maybe we can jump in into one of the studies that we did. We wanted to check the ATP, adenosine triphosphate, is the primary energy currency of the cell. It's directly responsible for powering majority of cellular processes, including muscle contraction, nerve impulse transmission, biochemical reactions. So ATP is immediately connected to athletic performance because supplementing with ATP will increase your athletic performance. But you know what's very interesting thing about ATP? Not a lot of people are aware of it. What is the biggest consumer of ATP in our body? Our brain. So the higher levels of ATP are connected to higher cognitive performance. So one neuron, if it wants to send an impulse to the neighboring cell, needs to hydrolyze 1 billion of ATP molecules. A single, and there are billions of neurons. So our brain actually consumes 25% of all of our energy. And I can tell you one thing, given the extraordinary intelligence of our body, our bodies are amazing. So if you give it a couple of percent of more energy, it will do wonders with it. And what we did a double blind placebo controlled study where we measured what's going to happen when people drink this water in terms of ATP. So we employed this luciferase, which is an enzyme that catalyzes light production in bioluminescent organisms. And due to its extraordinary sensitivity, you can measure intercellular ATP levels. So we did a baseline test, and then people drank a liter and a half of water a day for 2 months. And after 2 months, we did another test. And there was significant rise of ATP. We're talking about 20% rise over the placebo. So entire mitochondrial energy of your body have risen by 20%. And that's very, very measurable, and you can actually feel it. So, as I mentioned, ATP is crucial for our health, and all of our cellular processes are dependent on it. And when you drink Analemma water, your energy will rise. So
No,
this is just one of the studies. Mhm.
yeah, no, I love that so much. And I mean, as somebody that spent a large amount of time as a competitive bodybuilder, deep into the health and fitness space, I've always looked at myself as somebody that's a high performer. Like any 1% kind of benefit advantage that I can get, it's like that's kind of what begins to separate you in a real competitive nature. Where would this fall then, from a training perspective or even from a cognitive perspective? Like where does the water fall in the hierarchy, with water? So hydration, nutrition, sleep, recovery, training. So where do you see the water falling in the in terms of importance?
I would say that water holds the key. Water is the key element basically to anything. Why am I saying this? We can now take one deeper step into the whole science of it. Nikola Tesla said, the famous inventor, he said, if you want to know the secrets of the universe, think in terms of energy, frequency, and vibration. And water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of energy, frequency, and vibration. So it's the key element with which life communicates with itself. So water is a communication system within our body. And if that works properly, everything else will work properly. That's why I would put water as really, really important element in the whole thing. Biology always followed the energetic. And when you fix the energy part of the whole equation, everything just follows everything else.
Yeah, no, and I think what you shared at the beginning, right, with 99% of the molecules being like, yeah, it should be one of the most important. Now, you said something in the beginning there that what you guys have done is you've returned water back to God's natural state in creation. Curious when did it go sour? Understand what I'm saying, right? Like if this is the way that water was intended to be, what happened to cause the need for a product like Analemma?
Definitely. I will tell you, like we were actually wondering, so we kind of really did a deep dive. I mean, we can only share hypotheses on the whole thing. But you see, back in the day when waters were pure, when you can just come to the creek and you can just drink the water. So water kept itself in a structured state. You have this left and right vortex within the river. And all of this vortexing keeps the water in this very special state. And we could drink this water. But now, due to, we're having extraordinary toxins all over the planet in so many ways, food, chemicals of all kinds, and what we definitively proved, EMFs. EMFs are extraordinarily detrimental to our water. They push water into deeper chaos. And you can see how the world is now at this point in time. We actually tested, we found original structured water, but like deep out of the civilization at the river, at the wells of the rivers. But even then, we found out that as soon as you take it out of the well, out of its natural environment, it actually water goes back to chaos in a very short period of time. That's why we believe that all of us in Analemma, we don't feel that we own the water or that we invented it or whatever. We feel that we're serving it. We feel that Mother Earth is the hidden voice of this project. Really, because it's so necessary for the world at this point in time. So we feel that we are stewards of it, so to speak, because we really believe it will hold a big importance in the years to come, because water needs to be stable. Water needs to be in this very special state if humanity is going to thrive.
How did you get here? I know you got a background in advertising and production, and you also were the founder of a pharmaceutical company. Could you walk us through a little bit of your journey of ending up being the CEO of Analemma?
So I was always very, very, very passionate about health. I always knew that God created us perfect, and that there is this extraordinary intelligence, this innate ability of body to heal itself. So I was always interested in finding ways to assist that natural process in a powerful way. This led me to opening a natural pharmaceutical company, and I really, it was extraordinary. I loved working with it. There are thousands of people that really kind of got better through various natural pharmaceuticals that I brought to them. So it was really special. After a while, I kind of decided, okay, it's time to move on. I sold the whole business to a very large company, and then I was kind of okay. If I'm ever going to kind of invest myself into something, which I definitely wanted, it needed to check all the boxes. Meaning, okay, it needs to be something for the highest good of all, something that helps people, something that helps the planet, something that helps animals, something that helps plants. And a lemma. checked all the boxes, and God led me exactly to meet the right people, and we connected in such an amazing way. And we are now partners and in delivering this beauty to the world. How I came about, actually, I just went in and I financed one study because I knew that there was something extraordinary about it, and the results were phenomenal. And since I have this know-how, I just then kind of immersed myself more and more, and now this is the thing that I do, which is extraordinary how it spontaneously happened.
I love that. Thank you. Thank you for sharing that, man. And congrats on the exit, right? You know, as somebody that has, you know, spent his life in business and entrepreneurship and started multiple companies, it's like that's always the dream, man. And when you see somebody, you meet somebody that's had the success and be able to build something from the ground up and then sell it off to somebody that's just going to take it to the next level. I mean, hats off to that, right? Because I think that's what capitalism and entrepreneurship and business building is ultimately all about. Um, Talk about the product here a little bit. Obviously, I want to circle back and kind of get into the research and whatnot, but tell us about the product of Analemma.
It's actually extraordinary how elegant and simple it is, and how powerful. So, since water is a broadband absorber, receiver, and transmitter of frequencies and energy, it will pick up the most dominant frequency around. That's why it's so important to treat our water in the best possible way. Because that's why I believe that all the religions or spiritual directions, they always kind of bless the food before eating, because by blessing the food you are literally energetically changing the structural water in food, and all of that ends up in your body. So what we managed to do is to create the most positive dominant frequency in water. It takes 1 year for us to create what we call the mother water. And this mother water is what is inside the crystal vial. We put this water into the crystal vial. Crystal serves just as a superconductor. So it differentiates. So there is a barrier, but energetically it is not. It's like there are no barriers. So when you immerse the analemma in the water and start swirling, any H2O molecule that comes into close proximity to it starts to mimic its exact structure. So all of the H2O molecules enter this very special liquid crystalline state. That's where the magic is. That's where the water molecules come together. As I mentioned, colloquially speaking, join hands, and energy is being released. I can tell you, we actually created this device with which you can measure. Dr. Gerard Pollack, you know, he's the great scientist in water. He realized there is electric potential in water anywhere between 150 and 300 millivolts. But when you swirl the analemma through the water, that potential jumps by 300%, and all that energy ends up in your cells. So something special happens when this molecular structure changes.
As you're talking about how the water kind of picks up the energy, I don't know if you've ever seen the movie Ghostbusters 2. It took me back to like my childhood, right? Like I loved that movie growing up, the Ghostbusters. And in the movie, so it's shot in New York City, and everybody knows that there's water that runs underneath the city of New York, the city of Manhattan. And obviously it's a fictional movie, right? But it's like all this water has really been taken over by all the negative energy within the city, right? Like, and that's kind of like the movie's about this kind of battle between good versus evil, right? The Ghostbusters are the good, the evil is kind of the energy that's kind of living underneath the city. But the water literally turned into slime because it had been taken on so much negative energy. And when harnessed and used, it became a very destructive force that obviously the Ghostbusters had to go out and fight. I know that probably doesn't maybe really resonate with anything that you
No, no,
talk
no.
about normally, but it's like
But it's a, you know, I love how movies actually tell the story, a metaphor of the reality, because it is actually very true. If the water comes into close proximity of any negative frequency or vibration, it will pick up. It will pick that up, and then when you drink it, you have the negative effect. But you know what I love about the whole thing is how water is teaching us to be kind. Because since we are 99% water, how you treat other people stays there. So you literally have either positive or negative effect on someone's biology by the energy you send to it. I don't know, have you heard about the work of Dr. Masaru Emoto?
no.
Japanese scientist. I mean, he's an amazing pioneer in the world of water. how he proved that water has intelligence. He actually, it's an experiment that was repeated by thousands and thousands and thousands of people, and anybody can do it. So I invite all your listeners to do it as well. So you take 2 glasses, fill it with some rice and water. And what he did, he every single day he expressed love and kindness to one glass, and he started expressing negative emotions to another. And after a week, you can smell beautiful smell of fermented rice, and there was no rotting whatsoever. It was intact. You could actually eat it. Perfect. And the other one was started to smell really bad and started to rot completely. So the key element there is water. So water picked up the frequencies and started to behave accordingly. So that's why it's so important that it clearly showed, however you treat whatever, how you're treating animals, plants, and people, you are actually transmitting that frequency. That's why we have to be kind.
Absolutely, man. And I mean, you're speaking kind of at a quantum level here, right? But I mean, I think that there's been a lot of research and science that has shown that there is energy kind of in all of us. I mean, we all have experienced like maybe walking into a room, right? And before a person even says something, it's like they're projecting this negative energy. Kind of get that sense, depending on how in tune you are with your own energy, right? It's like I kind of feel something come off that person. It's funny that this Dr. Miyoto, it's like that is what they actually do in the movie Ghostbusters. Like they literally start screaming at one of the like the glasses of slime that the water turned into this slime, and then it starts spitting and spewing and all this negative energy. But then they had another part of it where they're like kind of loving it and giving it that positive energy and those positive vibes, and it's like that produced good. So it's so amazing that I'm sure this research that he's doing is more recent. That a movie, like you said, back in the '80s, was kind of already like leading us down this
Yeah,
path.
I mean, most probably the movie was inspired by it because you know what Masaru did? He actually took photographs of the crystals that came out of. So this is what he did. He took water, for instance, from the regular kind of Tokyo a piping system, just regular tap water. And then he took a crystal and there was nothing there. And then he expressed love to it, or he said thank you, or he expressed positive emotion. Then he crystallized the water and took a photo of the crystal. And the crystal was amazing. It looked ridiculously beautiful, if you know what I mean. And then he did the same thing with the negative emotion. And then you could see completely broken down water. So it's amazing to observe. This is something very physical. You can see how our intention, how our energy has a powerful effect on the physical world.
I love that. I love that. And I think we just gave Netflix or Paramount, whoever owns the rights to Ghostbusters, we gave them just a massive increase in views and in viewership of that movie here. So you talked about this crystal, like the crystalline, right? You kind of stir it in the water. Once the water is structured, like how long does it stay in that state? And is there potential to return back to the unstructured state?
This is the main, this is why we believe that, this is why we actually kind of have this feeling that we are the stewards of this, because that's where the extraordinary specialness of this water is. So we tested many, there are several different kind of emerging devices or technologies that bring water into coherent state, and we tested all of them. But when we were talking about vortexing, we're talking about using various crystals, magnets, various kind of forms. But in all of them, water goes back to chaos anywhere between a couple of minutes and day and a half. But with Analemma, it actually stays in that state virtually forever. We're now 5 consecutive years are measuring, and after just one treatment, just one swirl, 5 years later, water is still in that very special coherent state. And not only that, we tried many things to push it into chaos. We radiated it. We did all kinds of things. Even if it loses its structure for a very short period of time, it has this very powerful memory of this original structure. Then it just comes back, that very, very special structure. That's what's the main difference, let's say. It's so stable. And I can tell you one thing which is also extraordinary. This stability has a very big effect on the resilience of all biological systems. We tested it on plants, and it's really really amazing. Uh, um, we grew tomatoes with regular water and with Analemma water, and then we measured them. So, and we actually did 3 generations. So we took the seeds out, planted and replanted, and after 3 generations, tomatoes almost don't need no pesticides. They become so resilient to basically any invader. And there is also one other thing which is amazing. Our two founders, Dr. Eric Larker and Dolph Zantinge, in the very beginning, like a decade or so ago, they picked up a lab of a famous German scientist, Fritz Popp, who was deep into biophoton research. So every living thing exudes light, and you need very special technology so you can capture every single biophoton, and you can measure the vitality of any biological system through this technology. And what we did, we measured tomatoes that were grown with regular water to tomatoes that were grown with Analemma water. And tomatoes grown with Analemma water exude 60% more light. So they have 60% more vitality, more energy in it than if you grow it with regular water. Again, when you eat this tomato, all of this energy ends up in your cell. So we always kind of, the science in this world always goes to the chemical part. But there is much more important part, and this is the energetic part. Biology will always follow, as I mentioned, the energetic.
This may not be a question that you can answer, but I'd be curious because if one swirl, one kind of, I guess interaction with the analemma structures the water to where it essentially stays in that state forever. Why go the consumer route then? Like, was it proof of concept, and is the longer term vision to get to this source and create a product that is going to change, in essence, the global water? Because I think trying to change, I love the mission, right? Like, let's change the world through people's water. But wouldn't it be a more powerful approach to tap into the source?
What do you mean the source? Because just to tell you, because you just said the mission statement of our company. The mission statement of our company is to bring all the bodies of water on this planet back into the coherent state. We already developed a very eco-friendly technology we can install in the wells of the biggest rivers, and then all the life down the river would thrive. So we're talking about uh, 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 by changing the microbiome of the water. So what this is something that we can kind of also touch upon because it's extraordinary. The balance of bacteria in water changes. The balance, we proved it, the balance of bacteria in the soil changes. So everything basically changes, and all this water will end up in the oceans, and then the oceans will become coherent, and then the entire planet will be coherent. So this is the mission statement of our company. And to be honest, even though it's not good for our business model, we really don't care. We want, actually, it would be awesome. Next step would be to come to the kind of the sources of water of the biggest cities, and to make it coherent. And because it's so resilient, water, when it reaches the faucet of every single person, it will still be in this very special coherent state. Because, just so you know, water wants to move in a natural way. And if you kind of, our piping system is very unnatural, and it kills the vitality of water. But since Analemma water is so resilient, we know, we tested it, it will reach the faucet in that very special state. So you just told exactly our finish line. I know it's going to take some time to reach there. That's why we wanted to go, not to wait for that, because I don't know how long will that take. We just wanted to make it available to anybody so that people can get the benefit. And we're continuously investing so much into science so that it becomes irrefutable for any government, for any city, so they would want to come on board, use it, and then everybody will get the benefit.
Yeah, absolutely. No, I understand it's a lot easier to get a consumer product versus, maybe going to a bottle manufacturing company and having to break through their
No,
barriers, or like you
we are
said, get into
actually
the city supply
we
system.
we are actually getting there very soon as well, into the bottling thing. But our main goal is actually to make it available to everybody, so that you don't even have to think about it. You just open your faucet and it's there.
Now, I think when a lot of people, and thank you for that. I love the mission. I mean, obviously, having this big, hairy, audacious goal like is incredible, and that's what drives innovation. That's what drives entrepreneurship, capitalism, so forth and so forth. I think when a lot of people think about like what they need to be paying attention to with their water, they're not thinking of the structure, right? They're thinking of the pesticides, the runoffs, all the dangerous toxins and chemicals, like just like in our world. So, how does the Analemma work in congruency with filters like Brita or even your home filter insulation systems? Like, is it still necessary to have those, or is once you structure it, do some of the chemicals and toxins get filtered out?
I would definitely say that a chemical end is one thing, and people just go for the chemicals, and they are important. Don't get me wrong. So it's important to take all the chemicals out which are harmful. But what Analemma does is unleashes the true power of water. So even if it has those chemicals, your body will have enough energy to kind of deal with it. But having said that, we are working on a flagship model which will actually we are now coming out. We actually came out with what we call the whole house analemma, something that you can install in the piping system of your house, and you don't have to swirl, and all of the water in your house is coherent. But we are working, we're, I don't know, maybe in a year's time, maybe sooner, we'll see, we're developing this very it's just like the top water filtering system, so that we have the ultimate water treatment system on the planet, so that it purifies the water and it makes it coherent. So you don't even have to think about anything. You just install that and that would be it. But people can use it with Britas if they have their own systems. That's totally okay. If it has H2O molecules, if you apply an Analemma, it will form this very special liquid crystalline structure. So you can put your beer in coherent state or your wine in coherent state. No worries, just so you know.
No kidding, really. So it's not just
Yeah,
water. I mean, any
no.
any
If
beverage
it
that
has H2O molecules, they will form this very special state.
got it. So the difference in the filters is that's the purification, where yours is the coherency. So in an ideal world, is it the blend of the both? Then is having the purified plus the coherent.
Yeah, that will be this is exactly what we are working on, and we will come up with it. But as soon as we have something, we just wanted to push it out so people can get the benefit. Even if they're not having any filtering system, this will definitely make the magic happen. But the like you mentioned, the best possible solution is to, because a water supply in cities are just really bad. When you know what is inside, what is, it's just appalling. So it's good that the chemical side of things is being addressed as well.
Yeah, no, that's amazing. So we talked about the ATP, the athletic performance, the cognitive benefits that you get from it. You touched on a little bit, kind of in the in the plants, right? With the tomatoes, great, great example there. What other research have you guys done? What are some of the findings?
Awesome. So I'm really excited about this. So what we wanted to see is how everything. I love how everything in nature works. We are all part of this amazing ecosystem, and everything is interconnected. So what we did is we took. It's a part of our plant study. We took completely depleted, destroyed soil. So infertile, so killed with toxins, with pesticides. So this water was barren. It just you couldn't grow anything on it. And one part of it we watered with regular water, and one part we watered with Analemma water. And the part that was watered with regular water, basically nothing happened. Everything stayed the same. But the part that was watered with Analemma water, there was a huge explosion of the biodiversity of the microbiome in the soil. So much so that the bacteria started to suck CO2 out of the atmosphere into the soil where it actually belongs. So that was it. The land became fertile again. So the agriculture kind of aspect of the whole thing is extraordinary. But there is also one other element which is amazing. Is that usually when the rain falls on the soil, the minerals in the top layer goes down. But with Analemma water, there is a huge retainment of those minerals in the top layer. So all of these minerals and nutrients actually end up again in our veggies and fruits. So that's also one very powerful avenue. We are doing a lot of research now so that we can explain to the large agriculture companies that it's in their best interest to use the technology, and then everybody will get the proper fruit and veggies. I don't know if you're aware, but spinach 15 years ago had 80% more nutrients than spinach today, which is appalling. So that's why I always encourage people, eat organic. Eat organic. It's very, very important. People aren't aware how important it is to eat organic foods. Anyhow, this is our goal. As I know, we're shooting big, but anyhow, our kind of goal is to change the whole agriculture industry by increasing, because they're not usually interested in the quality, they're interested in shelf life and in yield. That's the two elements, but we want to prove to them that those two are going to rise as well. But number one thing for us is to change the energetics, because then people will eat the food as God intended and get the benefit.
Yeah, and I think a selling point to them there as well, right? If you can keep the population healthier, thriving, extend longevity, then you have consumers that are going to buy your agriculture, going to buy your produce, going to buy your spinach, going to buy your tomatoes for a longer period of time. Like if you could literally extend human life, I don't know if that's something that comes out of this, then you just have more people that are going to be able to buy your products. So I think there's a win-win for them.
Most definitely. That's why we're investing so much. And we already know that the shelf life is much longer because there's more vitality to it. So it stays longer. But I want to connect this to the human study because we had this microbiome explosion of the microbiome in soil, and we wanted to see what's going to happen with humans. So, with a double blind placebo controlled study where we measured what is called the dysbiosis index of the microbiome. This biosis index measures the degree of deviation within the microbiome, taking into account all the bacterial phyla species and their weighing factor. So, what we did a baseline test and took a snapshot of the microbiome. Then people drank the water, the liter and a half of water a day without changing their diets, without changing anything else in their world. And then we did another snapshot, and we took like before and after. And we had, on average, 17% improvement over the placebo on the dysbiosis index of the microbiome. So your microbiome gets improved by drinking the water. And I mean, like people think this microbiome story is extraordinary to me. We like to think of ourselves as we are kind of the single species. No, we're not. We're actually an entire ecosystem. So we are living in symbiosis with trillions of microorganisms. And also people are not aware, but there are up to 300 times more microbial genes than human genes. And these genes actually create enzymes that are essential to helping us get nutrients. They break down food so we get nutrients we wouldn't have access to otherwise. And how microbiome is connected to our immune system, this is also crazy when you look at it. 70% of our immune cells exist in our gut lining, and microbes in our gut, our microbiome, is teaching our immune cells which are the good guys and which are the bad guys. And they're helping our entire immune system. Also, not a people are aware that our microbiome, bacteria in our microbiome, are creating neurotransmitters, and they're being delivered through the gut brain axis to our brains, and they're creating new neural pathways. So the state of your microbiome influences how you think, how you feel, and how you are. I don't want to kind of go into too heavy details on it, but the health of your microbiome is crucial for your health.
No, you're speaking my language here. Let's go as deep as you're capable, right? Because I think a Greek philosopher, Hippocrates. All disease begins within the gut, right? So I mean, this is something that we somewhat knew about, 2,500 years ago. But I think there's been so much new research, right? We had Dr. Mahmoud Ghanem on, gut microbiome specialist, discovered the gut microbiome, mycobiome, not the microbiome, the mycobiome, which is another kind of added piece. And then, like I said, we've had functional medicine doctor, Dr. Jill Carnahan on. So I think you're speaking the language that the audience is going to really, really understand. So let's go deeper. I guess if the structured water, the coherent water is having these positive benefits, does that mean that our everyday water has negative benefits on the gut health?
Yes, that's the whole thing. But there are so many elements. We're talking about our diets. Just like we mentioned, toxins in our food have really bad influence on our gut microbiome. And I don't what we're drinking. I mean, all of these sodas and everything. I'm not going to mention the brands, but they really have negative effects on your microbiome. And when you look at it, the biodiversity of our microbiome 50 years ago was much more diverse than today. And this has a profound, profound effect on every area of human health. And I can tell you, coming back to what I mentioned in the beginning, our body is so intelligent that even though we're treating it so badly, it still functions. It still functions. And if we just give him a little bit more energy, if we improve it a little bit, it will reward us immensely. So yeah, it's just that's why I'm saying this is just assisting the natural process of healing. Our body has incredible intelligence. We just have to listen to it and kind of tend to it and help it wherever we can, and it will deliver. It will deliver in the best possible way for us.
What's the effects it's having on animals? I guess both in the agricultural space, right? You know, if we're eating cows, you know, through our beef, you know, our steaks, our ribeyes, if we're eating chicken, like they're consuming water. They're also eating from the ground with this soil that has been tarnished through the negative water. But then also, I guess maybe pets. Like, has there been any research done on the impact of pets? So I think it's kind of two.
We are actually, this is also very interesting. I'll actually mention one study before, then come back to it. We did, because it's important, we're now actually going to go into biological age of animal study. We did already biological age of humans, and we had amazing results. We picked this glycan age method. It's a group of scientists that have over 120 published scientific works in the world of glycans. So through the state of glycans, you can definitively and very accurately not predict, but set. You can just I don't know what's the word, your biological age in contrast to your chronological age. But what I love about their method is these glycans have very profound effect in two areas. One is immunity, and the other one is inflammation. So glycans are responsible for creation of T cells, and T cells are number one cells, defense cells of our immunity. So these are the cells that actually hunt pathogens and destroy them for us. So they're essential for the state of our immunity. And through the state of glycans, you can definitely say what is the state of your immune system. That's one end, and the other one you have this pro-inflammatory and anti-inflammatory glycans. And now everybody knows that low-grade systemic inflammation is the key cause of all the chronic diseases that plague humanity at this moment. So through the state of lichens, you can actually very accurately see what is the state of inflammation in your body. And when you take all of this into account, you get a number, your biological age. So what we did a baseline test with people. We determined their biological age. Then people drank the water for 3 months because they told us that you need at least 3 months for the glycans to change in your body. And they didn't change anything in the world. They didn't change their exercise regime. They didn't change their diets. And after 3 months, we did another test. Like we mentioned, snapshot before and after. And the results were remarkable. We had almost every single person in the study experienced between 1 and 12 years of biological age regeneration. Their whole system got regenerated on a cellular level. So it's really amazing. That's why I wanted to make the connection with animals, because we already know that it works in humans. And I know people are very kind of, they want to extend the lifespan of their animals. So we are now going to do a study on biological age of animals. So this is one study on animals that we do. Another one is really also interesting. There is one farm in the Netherlands that had huge issues with the health of animals in the farm, and they tried to treat it in various ways. Veterinarians did all kinds of medications, did the whole shebang they usually do, but nothing really hold the ground. So they came to us and they wanted to try with Analemma Water. And we gave them the technology. They started using, and all the animals started to drink Analemma water. And in a very short period of time, all of the diseases went out of their farm. So this is also a very, very evident kind of thing which you can. It's really observable how, and you know what I love about animals as well. There is no placebo with animals. It either works or it doesn't. So that's also kind of a very nice thing. But we are very committed to doing all the double-blind placebo-control study with humans. But with animals, is a bit simpler, and you know if it works.
Yeah, is there any value or benefit of using it for like cleaning, right? Like having it as your the water that runs through your washer machine or cleaning up the
To
dishes
be
or
honest, it never crossed my mind, but it's an interesting question. I haven't actually looked into that, and maybe I will. Maybe there is a kind of a way there, but I can tell you one thing. It's kind of connected, but it's not. When we entered into this and we started selling now this whole house system, where the whole beauty of that in and of itself works is that we started a study with Hydrate Spa in America. There is this doctor who was doing before and after when people were just laying in the bathtubs, 20 minutes to 1 hour. I don't know, have I mentioned this already? No?
mm-mm.
So the results are phenomenal. We're now going to do 100 people study. The results are even better that way than with drinking. I mean, the combination is like the best. So even athletes came. So people, every single person that took a bath in Analemma water and stood there between 20 minutes and 1 hour had their cardiac output went up. Stroke volume went up, blood viscosity. We're talking about more than several markers that increase positively, which is kind of when you are underwater for an hour, your body is going to absorb at least 1 liter of water. But we're actually thinking there is something much more there. There are pathways which open, and the results are phenomenal. You are an athlete. You are an athlete, so you know how cardiac output is important. A very small difference can make a difference. And we had one top athlete actually doing the work, and her cardiac output went out, and her physique is extraordinary. So there is something there which is really amazing. So that's another thing that people can experience taking the bath.
Yeah, no, that makes a lot of sense. And you would think that it would have a positive impact on, maybe just like ignorant for me to say, like the longevity of clothing, right? Like as we talked, like we're kind of tapping into this kind of quantum realm where we understand that everything is alive and it's speaking back and forth and it's sending these energy pathway systems. Like if the benefits of the water are this clear for us and the things that we can see, like it's got to have a positive impact. I'm glad I asked you something that maybe you haven't thought about before.
No, no, awesome, awesome. It really kind of didn't cross my mind, and we'll definitely look into it. I'm telling you, we barely scratched the wonder of this technology. Really, we're just wherever kind of inspiration leads us, we try it out. So we're just doing many things all at once, as much as we can. So there are so many things we can kind of go into.
Incredible. How long has the product been on the market?
Oh, we just kind of a year and less than a year and a half ago, we kind of came out with it, and the results are really phenomenal. People are responding, and they're having such an amazing results with it. So I'm telling you, we are really, really, really inspired and grateful. Kind of, and when you get those responses, you know that you're doing something amazing. I can tell you, and I know that you resonate with this 100%. When you're doing something and you're dedicating your time and your being to something which is larger than yourself, that's what happy life is. Anything else, it's just not. When you're serving something higher than yourself, then your entire being sings. And that's why I'm saying I'm so grateful to be part of the whole project, and to witness everything that's happening.
Yeah, when I asked that question about how long it's kind of been on the market, right, or maybe when some of the testing started, because you touched on the positive effects of autoimmunity or of the immune function, right? And I was just curious if there had been any testing done with how it's, I don't want to say works against COVID, but was there any research done in and around COVID with people that had structured coherent water versus those that didn't?
To be honest, we didn't venture in there. It's a very sensitive topic, if you know what I mean. And we were kind of very, let's say, it was suggested to us to stay within the general health and wellness area, and we have many reports of any kind, but we kind of don't want to. Yeah, we're very kind of cautious that way because we really want to give this to as much people as possible so people can get the benefit.
You want to get that message out there, and I understand 100%. Like when you begin to kind of take a stance against anything here, it's like it's going to maybe like limit your reach a little bit. And when you have a vision as big as literally changing the structure of the globe's water, it's like we got to kind of run in this kind of like parallel with almost everybody. So I respect that, and I really do appreciate and
But
understand it.
just so you know, yes, we have had a lot of reports, and that's why we kind of don't want to go into specifics, but that's why we kind of speak about general immunity, and the things that we already kind of uh, done, if you know what I mean. Yeah,
So
yeah.
you speak on the general stuff, and then you let the hosts like myself that aren't afraid to go into the area point in another direction, say, "Hey, this is actually what we're talking about." So I get that 100%. Um, I'm assuming everybody hearing this now is like, God, like I want to get one of these, but it's going to be thousands of dollars. This is well beyond my budget. Talk about where they can find it. You know, obviously plug your stuff. I think we have a discount code for the audience as well. And how incredibly affordable this is. That's what really stood out to me was like, this is something that I think every single person can and needs and should have in their home and in their because it's something you can travel with as well. So yeah, tell
Exactly.
people.
And that was our entire intention. We wanted to price it exactly like you mentioned, so that every single person on the planet can afford it and can get the benefit. We knew that we could kind of price it much higher, but it didn't make sense for us in that way. So, and it is a kind of expensive, just so you know, it takes 1 full year for us to create Mother Water. But this is the thing, we want to make it affordable so anybody on the planet can get the benefit. And this is what is lovely. If you protect it, and please do, because it's very fragile, if it falls down, it will break. If you take care of it, it will create coherent water for you for life. And the retail price of Analemma, small Analemma, is $179. So this is really something affordable, and it can create coherent water for you for life if you take care of it. I actually busted once mine. And I have them, I have a lot of them, but I was bummed because this truly is a gem, and you need to take care of it. And also, like, this is the thing, you can travel with it wherever you go. You can create coherent water for yourself.
Yeah, because it's a tiny. I mean, it's a large pen size kind of wand piece. So $179. Analemma-water.com. Is that
Yes,
correct?
but it's simpler way is just coherent-water.com.
Okay.
Everybody can spell coherent, so coherent-water.com.
Yeah. So guys, check that out. We'll link it down there in the show notes. And if you use code Superhuman, it's going to give you 10% off. So it's already incredibly affordable. Use the discount code Superhuman. You're going to save an additional 10%. Talk about the maintenance care of it. I know you said obviously don't drop it. You know it's made glass crystals. Are there ways that you need to be like? Does it need to be cleaned? Are there other care kind of best practices for
Not
it?
not really. It actually has this holder which is stainless steel, and a crystal vial which is filled with mother water, and then there is a kind of a protective how do you call it, cover, which you just screw the analemma in. So the only thing, when you use it, you just wipe it with the clean cloth. So that's the only thing that you have to do, and you put it in back in and take care of it because it's fragile. So if you kind of if we have this whole house system which is $1,800, if you can afford a bit more, to spend a bit more, then you don't have to swirl, and it's very sturdy thing. You just install it in the piping system of your house, and then you don't have to think about anything. But I would still, you can use the small analemma to carry with you wherever you travel or wherever you go.
And if you're skeptical for whatever reason, you're like, yeah, I'd love to have the home system. Start with a personal one. Start with a wand. Begin to feel and experience. Give it those 3 months to where you kind of start feeling better, increase your cognitive, athletic performance, and then make the investment. Because I think it's an investment not just in your water; it's an investment in your health. It's an investment in the health of your loved ones. An investment in the family. I gotta assume this is so important for children, right?
Most definitely. And it's so extraordinary how children respond to it. They actually sense it. so much more than adults. And we had so many kind of reports where kids don't want to drink any other water. They just don't. They don't want it because they sense there is something special there. But just like you mentioned before, people don't need to invest in a whole house system. You can just buy small analemma and it will create coherent water for you for life. So you will get the same benefit. The only thing is with this, you can get the baths because it's kind of you have to swirl around for half an hour in the bathtub, but you would get the same effect. So whichever path you go, the number one thing is to get the benefit because as we talked about, water is essential for life. I would just like to say one more thing. Like it's exactly like you mentioned, quantum information, not matter, is the building block of everything. And water is the key element there. Water holds, receives, stores, and transmits energy, frequency, and vibration. That's why it's so important.
Yeah, I love that. And I love what you talked about kids there, right? You know, the intuition and intelligence of young children. I think it's truly revealing. So Mario brother, man, this has been a masterclass. Like literally, like, just feel smart already, right? I got to go back and review my notes. So grateful for you, man, and getting connected, man. I love the mission. I love your heart. I love your passion. I love everything you guys are doing over there at Analemma. Obviously, you want to drive people to check it out. Check it out at Analemma-Water or coherent-water.com. Pick one up, 179. Get the 10% discount using code Superhuman. Is there anything else you want to plug? I mean, I don't know if you're pretty active on the social side of things, but is there anything else you want to share? And then we'll drive it home with our last question.
Well, I would just like to thank you, Frank, because the work that you are doing is extraordinarily important in this very particular, interesting point in time. So you are the spreader of what's relevant. There are so many irrelevant things that the world is spending time on, and you are sharing the relevant information for everybody. We should become how water is teaching us. We should actually join hands, and then the true power of us is going to be unleashed. So I just wanted to thank you for doing the work that you are actually doing. You are a lighthouse, and when people need this information, and you are the one who is spreading to them. So that's a powerful and important work, especially in this point in time, because we are at the breaking of the worlds, kind of from the old Earth to the new Earth, from the old civilization to a new one.
Yeah, and it can be very depressing, man. If you stay in that echo chamber, no matter don't know where people are getting their media, but there's a lot of negativity, there's a lot of hate, there's a lot of separation being spread. I look at myself as a vessel, right? I get the opportunity to number one learn. Like I am just a curious human being, and I think that's what's driven a lot of the success that I've had. Is I'm just curious and fascinated by things, but I also now get to share incredible people like yourself and incredible products and incredible missions and visions with the world. We've touched and impacted over 110 countries through this platform. So truly honored, and God has really changed my life, and it's been an incredible journey that I've been on. And once again, I'm grateful that you know this technology, right? We can connect on other sides of the world and have these conversations and bring the stuff that people need to hear. So much appreciated, and the gratitude and acknowledgement is shared right back at you, brother. So we like to end every episode here with the same question. You touched on it there a little bit a few minutes ago, so I think I know where your answer is going to go here. But obviously, the title of the show, Mario, is The Superhuman Life. And for me, when I talk about living a superhuman life, I really look at it as a belief system, or it's a way that I try to show up every single day. And as a man of faith, it's coming from the place that I do believe that we're put here for a purpose. There's a calling on each one of our lives. Clearly, your calling is in business, entrepreneurship, and bringing products to the marketplace. But knowing that there's a purpose for your life, I don't think is enough. You got to be very intentional about your growth and about how you bring that purpose to the world through educating yourself and then creating products or creating services or goods for other people. So when you blend those two together, that's how I define living a superhuman life. But Mario Brainovic, as we end today's conversation, how would you define living a superhuman life?
That's actually an extraordinary question. I believe that there is spark of God, spark of the divine in every single person. And when we tap into that, we start living a superhuman life. And I believe that this belongs to every single person. If you're alive, You have this in your heart. And this potential is pumping and pulsing in your being. The only thing that we have to do is to tap into that, to listen and to surrender to that part in ourselves. And then our true power is being unleashed. And that power is benevolent. That power is love. That power is joy. That power is true strength, I believe.
Incredible. Mario, you are a gift in the spirit that animates you is something that is truly enlightening. So I really, really value you and the work that you're doing. Guys, check out Analemma, coherent-water.com, analemma-water.com. Use code superhuman to get your discount. Start with the one. Start with the personal use, and then if you begin to experience all these positive benefits that we talked about here today, then dive into that home care, because it's going to be an investment in your life that'll pay itself back tenfold, 100-fold, 1,000-fold, and beyond. So we're so grateful for Mario. Guys, if you got value out of this conversation, make sure to leave us a 5-star rating, written review. But this is one of those ones, I'm going to ask you to share with everybody. Oftentimes I ask you to share this with one person. This conversation needs to be in the hands of every single person that you know. So somewhere on your platform, wherever you're listening, there's a little arrow button. Hit that arrow button, share this out through your social media, drop it in an email for people, tag myself, and I'll make sure to share this as well. But for Mario Brainovic, Frank Rich, host of Human Life, we love you guys. We'll see you next week.